Mayeno Deshindu Sorvadan Dijedan Number Shebanan Tombao Charibu de Darshu Danje Tomba Nide Sini Meba Mageba Magaba Tima Meba Tima Danjawa Tiva Meba Kangwa Meba O Sharibu de Dawena Tomba Nila Zume Sorvame Dijeme Dijename Number Shebame Rime Nawame Dame Cheme Lume Ime Zume Drame Chime Rome Rejame Chome Do Mige Game Bane Ige Game Ige Nambare Sebe Gange Bardo Yame Do Mariba Me Mariba Seba Me Gaji Me Gaji Sebe Bardo Yame Do Ejindu Donga Wadang Kunjung Wadang Gobadang Lami Yishime Toba Me Madoba Yame Do Sharibu Deda Wena Changchup Simba Nam Toba Me Bichir Sheragi Barudu Jimba Latin Jing Nede Simla Jiba Nejing Traba Me De Chinji Lode Shindu Dede Nyangele Debe Tar Shindu Duzundu Nambar Shube Sange Tanje Kyan Sheragi Barudu Jimba Latin Lana Me Yanda Bar Zobe Changchup Mumba Zobar San Yeso Deda Wena Sheragi Barudu Jimbe Riba Jimbe Dana Mebe Minya Bada Nyambe Dunga Tanjera De Shivar Shibe Mizu Bena Dembar Shiva Shade Shiragi Barudu Jimbe Meba Tayada Gade Gade Para Sangade Bodhi So Charibu Janju Simba Simba Jimbu De Darshiragi Barudu Jimba Samola Labar Chao Dene Chomdende Tingizim Dele Shenge Janju Simba Simba Jimbu Baba Chirizi Wanchula Lekso Shejawa Jene Lekso Rigi U Dede Shino Dede Shinde Chidargege Demba Shindu Sheragi Barudu Jimba Samola Chibar Jade Dehi Shabanam Gyanjezi Yerango Chomden Deje Dege Cheka Tsene Sedan Demba Sharada De Buddha Janju Simba Simba Jimbu Baba Chirizi Wanchuda Tamshedan Dembe Kor Dedadan Hadan Midan Hamayandan Jisa Jebe Jide Yerane Chomden Deje Sumba Lango Membare Tuto. Page 11. Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha on Vulture's Peak, together with a great assembly of monks and bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examines all phenomena, called profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, how should those of good family learn who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahatattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, should look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, karmic formations, and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karmic formations, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes, up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. Nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all bodhisattvas hold to the wisdom gone beyond. Because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. But passing utterly beyond falsity, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times, by relying on the wisdom gone beyond, fully and clearly awakened to unsurpassed, most perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, the unequaled and unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering should be known as the truth, for there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed. Ayata Gate Gate para Sambatse Buddhis or Sharipatra. This is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn the profound. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble level of Kitesh. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva saying, very good, O son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Sharipatra, the noble Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. So in the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom come.
뭐야, 하드링 또 사니 마켓에라 자니 로텐데 람림 람지림바 람지림바 세야텔라 까마도 사무 자체가 람지림바다 사무 람지림바 상아서 냠내 체 많이 보지 어떻게 모터 체 되더래서 Now it is Sunday, and we resume the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. Instruction is in this, the lesson of the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, a path with stages, particularly the two stages of the path of extensive deeds and the lineage of profound view, these two in particular. 아니 람지르바티 조칭 시기 요래 아니 셜라 사무 람지르바티 오 람링이 딱 주주 텐도 마 람지르바티 텐단 간데스나 자체에 람지르바티 모스 텐네 사무 람지르바티 슐라 테버치기 요래서 Of these two, the stages of the path of extensive deeds and the profound view, here in the context of the great treatise, particularly, it is the vast path and its stages that is explicitly presented. This is the method aspect of the path and its stages. Implicit in this presentation is the profound view. So how is the presentation made? Directly and explicitly of the path and its stages of extensive deeds, with embedded in it and implicit the profound view. In the stages of the path of extensive deeds that is concerned with the method aspect itself is made up of practices of compassion and love, from which develop the mind of awakening itself, bodhicitta, and then these inform their enactment in the paramitas that are the 6 paramitas. These culminate in the achievement of the ground of Buddhahood itself. All of these are practices of the method aspect named with the epithet, the stages of the path of extensive deeds. Oh yeah, The stages of the path of extensive deeds spans every step from the beginning for any person embarking on the path that culminates in the achievement of the ground of Buddhahood, and every incremental step in between, every step by step along the way, And in this way, it is a path of stages.
세자다 이제 인도다 람지 림발로 롭세디 아니 랑게 림바 탐보 러베라 퇴선 고숨지 고네 라보고여라 탐보 퇴바 되네 삼바 되네 고바 chen 아니 랑게 줄라 제버 탐마 고베 람 줄라 제버 chen 아니 랑게다 냠 랑주디 아니 퇴선 고숨지 고네 냠스 랑주디 랑고레서 뭐
So the stages of the path in their training entail study and then contemplation of what is studied and then meditation upon what is contemplated, such that in the end, the path of meditation is achieved.
사실상 다 퇴선 고숨 제약이 퇴바 제약이 롱들은 어디 롱기 취했더라 아니 가리어서나 롱기 취했더라 롱되는 숨스 어디 퇴바 제약들 롱되는 숨로 퇴바 제 아니 퇴바 제바데 300권의 냠소 랑도 랑기 줄라 깨야들 라바숨이 냠네데 랑기 줄라 깨바 제고래서
In the progression of study, contemplation, and meditation, that which is studied is the scriptural dharma composed of the three baskets, the Tripitaka. These are studied, and from their study emerges the contemplations that inform the mind in such a way that the mind is imbued with the three higher trainings.
된대시다. 아주 남들이 반냠스 랑주 된대시 랑고래. 제가 다 남들은 뭐서 라야디 아니 야채에 남들이 바들에 야채에 남들이 뭐랑이 줄라 깨버 쳐발라 엄마랑이 줄라 예 투야게 자기 손남게 소 야채 뭐 싸고 요래. 디사베 치르줄라 아니 뭔도 교회 추주 무시 창조가 생겨 남들이 바고 봐. 아니 중도다 아니 that's 로베 창조주 고방원도 지야 어떤데 지금 냠슬랑으로 해서
In the practice itself, in the way that it is performed, such that it is the path of extensive deeds, one begins developing the mind of awakening, first by accumulating the merit that is required in order to develop it. Toward this end, one engages in the preliminary practices, the 6 preliminary practices, which are followed by the actual meditation that is for the development of the mind of awakening.
된대. 제가 다 인도다 뭐 고마운 맞도 전주가 셈 줄래. 전주가 셈 랑기 줄라 깨버 쳐버 치도 아니 소 야치 뭐 사베 치도라 저외 추주고 있냐네 뒤 창가지고 그래. 다이 그거 이외에도 저 추주고 있냐네 나네다 당봉아 맞아 다 시신이 다 맞아 다른 거 시대야 저 저외 추주봐 아니 다 저저 계산 딩게스 저 계산 딩게스 다디기 손대비 아니 다 바데 다 저외 추주고 그런 게 명을 가르세나 명아 유다 정해서 차와서 라메 명아다 랑기 시주니 보디 또 출라 추시 제반나 시체는 제바체는 냠을 내고 이외에도 명아 유다 정해서 차와서 명들 아니 도야가 손대잖아 계산 딩게서 어디를 명다 그래서
For the development of the mind of awakening in any person's continuum, the accumulation of merit must be performed. To this end, the practice of the 6 preliminaries, which we turn our attention to, the first 5 of which we have completed, leaving us contemplating the 6th. This is the integration of the oral instruction with one's own continuum. We now turn to the ornament to the throat of the fortunate. The ornament to the throat of the fortunate is this text that sets aside the 6 preliminary practices for the purpose of integrating the oral instruction with one's mind, such that it resembles water mixed with water. This text now, ornament to the throat of the fortunate.
된대. 세다가 손대 미제 거기 질럽 줄을 쇼발로 손대 뒤대용 거야. 괜찮다 어디 아니 라메기 투기 연대 랑기 줄라 나 라버치 제발라 도마 칠랍디 주버 제발라 선데 메데 선데디 메나 칠랍 주버 제발이 이어 말잖아 소아데 바고 소아데 마들나 칠랍 랑기 줄라 주고 말해 제단 칠랍 랑기 줄라 주버 치도 선데 되고 세다 당아주 탄다 장주 심 용무시 람지 림바데게 랑기 또고 줄라 제베 치도라 아니면 선데 메데 선데 아니 저희한테 개침부 차대 그래서 단단한 것도 선대 아니 보내다 유지 별장 제약이 좀 뭐지 뭐 시야를 롭젠데래서
The petitioning is critical to the blessings of the Guru penetrating the mind. Without the petition, the blessings of the Guru do not penetrate the mind. The qualities of the Guru would penetrate the mind with the petition and the subsequent bestowal of the blessing. And so to this end, the petition is made so that the actual meditation itself may succeed in the mind. The petition is made so that the blessings are bestowed.
어디를 제산 대이 듣다마다 나랑도 간다 다 선대 문제 지단 선대 저 되줄라 라마 수수수게 차시게 돈에 대부분도 망고리가 이나야 단단하듯이 람림 율람 소오치니 아니 선대 문제 동거 요래 제단 람림 프랑게 람림기 규베게 라마 야랑게 나띵기 나갈로 그 안텔에 소아다 아니 아마 칠랍 슈드지 별장체
And so the descent of purificatory nectar. Now in the blessings, involved in the conferral of the blessing is the descent of this nectar and light. There are various traditions of practice in various lineages. We draw our practice from the swift path. We concentrate on this, the swift path, and develop the technique based on this. In space before one visualizes the merit field and there directs the petition.
Oh yeah, 세단다 된데 인도 잠바다 손데 민제 되고 마주데 람조 고제 실업 도바 줄라 깨발라 손데 되고 손데 되 아니 뒤지 별장 제거하디 아니 하장게 냠랭게 네 첨부 차기 어래서.
Now this for the development of realization in the mind, for the success and progress in the mind, the petition of critical importance, so that the blessing is bestowed through the descent of this purificatory light and nectar.
Oh yes, 제가 장주고 있으면 줄라 깨버려 제발라 랑기다 탑도 가식 첨부 뒤지 망보 땅네 아니 냠네 줄라 체네 또가 줄라 깨 요래 양 가식 배 춘준체 배 람유부 탑시 사무 냠수 때네 아니 또가 유도 줘야 되는데 그 탑들이 뭐 망보 요래서.
Now, for developing bodhicitta, there are techniques that require intensive hardship, a great deal of time, and then the realizations occur. And there is another means by which less hardship is entailed. The method is very effective, such that realization develops very quickly.
Oh yeah, 그냥 수술로 빼도 차샤바이나 수술로 톱자로지 톱자 친구직 아니 지금 로직니 고르니 토비야 여봐야 요래 양 톱자 대단 대로 톱자 직과 직장 주주 누구 이마직니 들라직니로 토비야 같은데 요러와 대나 신체는 간다고 랑게 톱자기 랑게 바나나 가도 대단 다 수수고 라제도 가리나 예버 톱고 요나 아니 그 주주 로직로 뭐도 토비야 양 주주 tun디나 톱토야 같은데 요러와 대나 신 아주 다들 남이 냠내 치도나 대대 직과 요래서.
Now, for example, in any achievement, any goal one has, it might require a year's time or 2 years' time. There also might be such a scenario in which the same achievement may come to pass in a day's time or a week's time through an especially effective technique or means. Now, here in an ordinary sense, you have a goal of some kind, perhaps a salary at the year's end, a reward at the year's end, and it requires a year. But it is possible, another scenario where less time is required. Now here, this is such an instance. The path and its results ensured more quickly.
예, 제가 이제 톱제디 로직을 때는 톱이 여바 톱에 임바 이제 직당이야 투주 이만 찍니라 쟤는 톱에 여바 톱제니 볼때 아니 그 간다 탑지기 전에 요거 톱에 여바디 저거를 뭐또 탑이 맞는 거 있는 요거 톱에 탑이라고 말와 그래서 진주도 뭐 간다로 수수 그 톱제디 요거 톱에 치돌라 아니 랑게 간다 톱제디 톱에 임바다 그 톱제 임바다 탑체는 톱이 여바 어디서 쉐고 거러 왔어 제가 대나시 알아줘야 다들 남지를 뭐 냠슬랑도 직법에 개발보다 냠슬내 고야기 되게 냠len 직 아니야 탑시 이게 돈에 두수 튕기지라는 게 톱이게 근데 고급이 여바 이나 아니 톱이게 탑이라는 게 땡고서 와서
The achievement that requires 1 year versus the very same achievement requiring only 1 day. That there is the objective to be achieved and it is the same, but that through an effective technique, it may be secured more rapidly. Without application of this technique, the use of this technique, that swift achievement isn't possible. Now here, the achievement, understand that the achievement is the same. The result is the same. There is a method available, a means toward securing it more quickly. There is the first approach that requires many eons, and then there is another approach whereby one utilizes the most effective method and more swiftly achieves the result.
근데 탑을 한게 신기 매바 있나 아니 탑치 두고 말어 탑땡 두고 말어 왔어 일단 탑 시험으로 탑 시험 받쳐 봐라 탑이 당보라는 게 퇴바도 계시고 퇴차는 한게 되고 삼백고는 냠슬랑 아니 그 톱제티 톱으로 왔어 대나신 다 단단하고 유지 별장게 뭐 선대면 안다 선대 남조 공제게 토네 유지 별장 제디 아니 하장게 또뭐 줄레기하게 탑 하장게 사보 밀고 어디래지요 저는디 냠네 내 친구 레시고 이제 데레지래서
Unfamiliar with the method, one cannot conceivably employ the method. So one must familiarize oneself with the method, and one does this through study. Following study, one may contemplate it, and then through the petitioning and the descent and purification by light and nectar, the very one prescribed in the ornament to the throat of the fortunate. We find a method that is profound, very swift, and for these reasons emphasized as most important.
어딘데 다딘데 인도전보다 선대 슈유 이거 질라고 있지 선대 퓨사스나라 질라 슈유디라다 가장한도 시야게 라마 동안 땡아스 다디 당보 동안 땡아든 문제 야고시고 해서
So then the petition is directed to the merit field. The direction of the petition being these 5 groups of gurus, and these 5 groups of gurus must be identified.
야, 나단다 대시주 시야게 질 유번이 당보 시야디 자진 주주지 라마스 먼저 그도 자진 주주고 라마 줍시 아니 저기 초신나라 한가나라 티제나라 티와 나신 진단다 제시 제가 요 이나 수수 냠면 시도 이 얘기 뺐다서도 오래마도 냠면 시도 수수기 때 단다 수수기 규바다 라마도 미다미다 연구를 와 제가 단단하도 얘기 티샤베게 탕가게 나기 얘기 초신 거다 나신 진 제시 제가 요래서
In important lineage within these 5 are the lineage of extensive deeds, which includes 14 particular gurus. Their arrangement in visualization follows from their arrangement in the scroll paintings. But each person in their practice has their particular lineage gurus. The scroll painting is an example, a model. Now we, in our presentation of the arrangement of the merit field, base it upon the scroll painting.
예, 세상다 다들 집에 나지 전에 예를 야진 주주고 라마 줍시 yuan la samu taju gi rangi yuan mo de samu taju gi lama du ani gyabla chila nyamne chila ju gi lama de la ta lama des thanga mangbo yo thanga de la nyamne chila ju gi lama godang de la ta thanda lamri khorana ji cheba ina lama nishu ko sha ra son lo chi.
To the right are the 14 gurus of the lineage of extensive deeds. To one's left are the 7 gurus of the lineage of profound view. So this is to one's left, where there are the 7 gurus of the lineage of profound view. And behind one is the lineage of blessed practice, which involves innumerable gurus, but in the arrangement, according to the great treatise, 20 are identified there.
Oh yeah, that rangi chujung onto sawe lama juba itingi nangala ko gore dila ta tanda ko ya dila ta sedan korana ko dan jene changa nishu ko sha re son lo.
Ale.
Tingi nangala.
Tingi nangala. Ale gap ani di gap la maro.
Jabla te di chilab juba lama.
Ani dela ani nishu yamara. Lama nishu.
Nishu beyan nishu tigiyo.
Ale nikala. Ani tingu dang gap la. Lale. And the lineage of the gurus upon whom one has relied directly are placed in space above one. There too, there are 20.
Oh yeah, that rangi chujung onto ji sawe lama ti tanda tijana la. 제르무제 yapse sum ko sha je yapse sum ko sha adila susu ke lama chigma do mena ma go na tigo ya mangbo sum ju shi byung ab ko na tigo kan susu chu son jong mo to be lama tige rangi be ting nangal ma go je nanga wo rang da pe tile yo ba de ni ko go ya son
ala tile ani tingdu ani yapse
lama
directly overhead are the gurus of one's gurus, Jedzong Kappa and 3 sons, and 2 heart sons. And then those gurus upon whom one has directly relied may be arranged about one on the same level.
Oh yeah, that's it. The mondo lama tela marang susu nyamne chi susu ge tanda ba tijenala 제압세 숨 티자리 네 수수고 단다 민과 지도 잡아 곰디 소신 곰디 랑기 천정원도기 라마 가져 있나 되게 차상 아니 단다 수술을 제 제도기 남바지기 어디든지 공부를 해서
These gurus upon whom one has directly relied, maybe one single guru, maybe 30 or 40. In the merit field of the guru's guru, there are Chetsong Kappa and sons, and then about one, the gurus upon whom one has relied, they may be 30, they may be 40.
Oh yeah, that 랑게 천정원도 라마 가져 있는 배 참바 수업에 지금 거고래. 아니 거기도 잠바 미국 지도 잠바 라마 그게 고수다. 공부만 참아 들리잖아. 진짜 공부가 말했어. 윤진이 남바진도 마고 맞지. 이나양 함에베 남바 방을 지도가 남바진 공도 잠바 양치 가실을 제매버도 가실베 공부 제마되어 들리나 진짜 공부가 말했어. 교육이 찾다기가 말했어.
Each of these gurus upon whom one has directly relied should be recalled each by each, one by one, as they are arranged in the visualization. Where they had imperfections, physical imperfections, these are not to be included in the visualization and recalled. One does not revisualize imperfections. Nevertheless, these gurus appear just as they appeared to one when one relied upon them directly. If there were one that was blind, their blindness would not be revisualized.
That is it. That in it about lama set up, sir. The lama set up son and it's so up son and so up became chene and lame to never soon lame cool to it. That was second and mark June Rangi Lula Mashubeta, you see Babata. 아니 장와다 베베 미과다 최고로 해서
With the gurus arranged, then the petition follows. The petition is made to the gurus, and this delights the guru. From the delighted guru, then emerges the light and nectar that descends from them, purifying and descending, purifying and descending.
뭐야 제가 다 뒤지 법규자 뭐 뒤지 법규가 좀 실로 왜세 나가 돈에 땅아도 뒤지 법에 가랑도로 막 거야 되라다 모두 쉬어야 되라 다음에 그 윤대 또 봐줄래 제당 되라다 법규자 뭐 뒤지 왜세 나가 나체네 바꾸고 그래서
In the descent of nectar, it is a 5-colored nectar that descends. There are siddhi that are bestowed by the descending nectar. They are the siddhi of the qualities in the mind of the guru. They descend from the guru in a nectar of 5 colors.
들으시 다 되네 뒤지 웹사이트도 다 라마 배배하겠다 아주 다 배상지하게 막 랑기 줄었다 당보 뒤지 배바다 장와 최고야디 아니 가르치도 제발했어 균제대로 들어와디 뒤지 배전 가르치도 제발했으나 말한솔라 아니 몽바다 아니 치기 치다 동해도 다 치워다 나외 동해도 좀 치고 뒤치도라 아니 군조고 내디가 랑 줄에 깨바체 징길라면 아니 랑기 줄에 개개 찾은 세바 치고 여러 가지는 뒤치도라 소데 뒤지 배전 치고야디 아니 랑기 유 타고 랑기 유기 이모다 이모 뒤샤베 아니 다 바게 제부 동에 이게 강가 타고 치고 여러 뒤치도라 뒤지 배전 치기 여러서
Light and nectar descend, penetrating one's mind. What for? Why do it? Why visualize the descent of nectar? The descent of nectar quells the Lord of Death, sicknesses, and ignorance. The blessings take the form of nectar. The descent of nectar cleanses the mind of obstacles that must be removed. The purpose of the descent of nectar is to purify the mind of the klesha and the results of those klesha that are pain.
근데 세단 때도 이르다 마다 가서 뒤지 배전 치르다 마다 간다르 파게 뒤로와다 안돌라 가랑주고다 뒤지 배전시는 장고야 조 유용한도 용다도 뒤지 배전시 장고야 조들라 아니 가랑주고다 리바이시 귤라 케마주니 좀바치니 몽바 마리바 몽바 마리바 세제기 치돌라 아니 뒤지다 아니 마 대기 왕게 동에 치워 다조 치다 치외 지고 좀 치돌라 아니 왜 세르치는 어디를 지미고 치야 요래서
Jitani karisani rikta yeshi la barje tankin sode ane de ani marikpa de sevil marikpa dan marikpa ki wangi ani chida chikta langin de ani chomyala duziba
뒤지 뒤로와다 뒤지다 왜 세긴
So in the descent and purification by light and nectar, the way that we do it, as we do it, the purpose for it is particularly to eliminate that which interferes with the development of reasoned wisdom, that is, ignorance. From ignorance, too, emerges the fearsome, particularly the Lord of Death, to quell the Lord of Death, the ignorance that, and the ignorance underlying it, the descent of light and nectar.
Oh, yeah, that. 이게 지난 지용 찬이 되지. 다단단 가서 미스 값스가 당보 가서 거는 마치네. 계산 가서 제 심박이다. 야진 주주고 라마를 받게 장가잡니 가서 딜을 뒤지 배전 제에 가로 시사로와. 그래서 야진 주주고 라마되게 나가라 그거 받딜래 랑이 소와답니 뒤집밥니 다 랑이 줄로 또바 가리게 와서 야채를 남지 르바 야채에 람지 렘베 똑바께 빌라 깨발라 파도 쮸바게 아니 개겐 탐제 파스 다바체 아니 이 다발라 되네 랑기 줄라 아니 갸치베 남지리바 당 아니 갸치베 남지리바 줄라 깨송 삼베 미고티 쳐고래 손으로
This is the general outline. The specifics for us are in the arrangement of the lineage of extensive deeds. The lineage of extensive deeds and all of its members are arranged in visualization as they are arranged, then the petition is made to them. From them descend light and nectar. With the descent of light and nectar, that which interferes and prevents the development of realization in one's mind are purified. With the descent of the purificatory light and nectar, those obstacles are purified. With their purification, then too, one imagines, one conceives of oneself as having developed the realizations of that lineage.
오이 하다가서 간다들이 접대도 사상도 셈기 바자지게 좀 봐. 셈기 띵기 아니 샤비다 니모데 샤베 바자지게 좀 봐처럼 때티나신 아주 룰을 삼았던 게 있나야? 한다 룰 하나도 룰 샤르 되지 공부 타다 나다 루베게 되게 비상 룰이 아니 딜라양 아니 뒤지 법합니 아니야 이게 랭에게 루이디 파 장네 외질 아신전도 조소 삼바텔레 미고치네 되게 어려서
This is the conceptualization involved in the mind as the light and nectar descends, that the light and nectar cleanse the mind of the klesha and all the dormancies caused by the klesha. But then too, if we were to consider the body as well, this body that is composed of flesh, blood, plasma, this body is purified by the descent of light and nectar and becomes luminous and limpid.
오예 따디션에 계제디 파 장사는 수줄을 따 모두 토배도 그렇다 아니 튀진 세다 소는 롱도기 연대다 롱다 도배기 연대 오 대다 탐제랑게 줄을 계속 삼 내가 때문에 치고 그래서
With the removal of the hindrances and obstacles to the development of realization, one then conceives of oneself as having developed enhanced lifespan, autonomy, merit, and as having developed the qualities of scriptural realization.
오예 따디나지 따디네가도 야채를 남겨 좀 벌어 주지 배변세당 교수들이 같이 지단 들어오면 셰사르다 연구 건직 셰버와 따디나지 삼을 남겨 좀 봐. 아니 규백 남아 가상도 담아 잡사들이 땡게 나가놓고 텔레 주지 법. 아니 밤에 다 랑기 야채 삼을 남겨 좀 봐게. 아니 또봐 줄에 제외 제신 탐제 봐장 아니 장찬에 아니 랑기 줄 아니 다 동번이 또 배셔 줄 계속 삼배
These are the particulars of the visualization of the lineage of extensive deeds, the descent of nectar, and it is a review. We do the same with the lineage of profound view. Arrange the lineage of profound view in space. Having arranged them, visualize the descent of purificatory light nectar. With that descent, hindrances and obstacles to the development of realization are removed. And with their removal, the wisdom of realizing emptiness is developed in the mind.
유베 람지르베 유베 라주 대당 근데 삼월 람지르베 라주 니가 소 찍도 되네 아니 냠네 칠렙 유베 라마스다 한다 코니가 냠네 다지나지 수수도 맞이받지 이거 냠도 제토 제네 아니 냠랭이 소아데 주지밤 아니 또 번니가 냠도 제베 미과 제야 지도라 아니 냠랭이 질러 주베 봤어 어디 레고 요래서
So the descent and purification by light and nectar. And today, where we have the lineage of extensive deeds and the lineage of profound view, there is too the lineage that is the integration of both, integrated into a lineage of blessed practice, so that the realizations and the practices of the two lineages aren't conceived of as separate, but are integrated, so that both realizations of both lineages are found in the single lineage of blessed practice.
다 들려. 세상다 냠네 질럽 주네 세네 냠도 제야 되라. 냠 남지 리바들 가리어스나. 자체에 남지 리바네 가리시어스나 장주고 셈 고메르바. 윤제 명아 뒤지 남지 리바데 시어레스. 사물 남지 리바네 가리시어스나. 아니 다시 냠제게 남지 리바데 시어다. 니가 냠도 자르니 냠도 렘바 제야디. 아니 냠는 질러 주베기 라마좀 주디다 질러네한테 레송.
The practices that follow from mixing and integrating the lineage of extensive deed and the lineage of extensive deeds and the lineage of profound view are, first, from the lineage of extensive deeds, the stages in the path for the development of bodhicitta, that is, namely, the sevenfold cause and effect oral instruction. This sevenfold cause and effect oral instruction from the lineage of extensive deeds. It is integrated with the practice of the lineage of profound view, namely the exchanging and equalization of self and other. These two are integrated into the lineage of gurus with their practice of the blessed lineage.
여튼 냠랭이 주블라고 주버그 당보도 야와 도지 창고 그래. 야와 도지 창네 잠배야. 근데 자세 좀 보시오라. 어디 막 주바치니 말해서
The Zamottagyu.
말
말해서.
냠랭이 질러 주.
라라라. 알레라 아니
도지
도리장
창 잠배야네 마. 아니 자세 좀 보시오라. 어디 주바.
The lineage of blessed practice, its progenitor is Vajradhara, from Vajradhara, Manjushri, from Manjushri, Shantideva.
그래서 어디는 막 냠랭이들 세네 좋았다. 되니 마제는 주바다 타마 라마슬링바는 저 아디샤네 좀 봐스. 안 되는 막 규제다. 냠랭이 주바다가 여래서
This then the integration of the two in the lineage of blessed practice. As it continues onward, it flows through Suvarnadvipa, Atisha, and Dromtumpa. These are the gurus of the lineage of blessed practice.
여기다 냠랭이 질러 주바 숨들이서 다 되네다. 디바돌 이제 야진주주 사모다주 냠랭이 질러 주바 라마 숨제 다 되니 마제네 다 가담티 디르버티 올라 라주 코이드 잠바 다 가담에 라마스코 그래서
Here then are three groups of gurus, then the gurus of the lineage of extensive deeds, the gurus of the lineage of profound view, and the guru of the lineage of blessed practice. Then beneath these, the Kadampa masters.
다 가담에 림바텔라 아니 가담바터 좀 좋지네 저dom도 봐지 저dom도 봐니 마체네 아니 람레기 친이 지다한테 아니 친이 지다면서 릭숨 유바도 숨 열에스 가담 람림바 가담 맹아바 가담 당보디 가담 람림바체 네 가담 슝바바체 아니 가담 맹아바세 코나도 냠네 지다면서 릭숨 친 근데 유바 숨 소열에서
with the stages of the path of the Kadamba, beginning with Atisha, passing through Dromtompa. After Dromtompa, the lineage branches into three that are the the path Kadampa, the scripturalist Kadampa, and the oralist Kadampa, these branching lineages.
Oh, yes, and then we assume that Tangamira, some you had it, that's not Yuba, some Yuba the Re, Inaya Konzo, Yamlen Chitang, the Susu, Lamegi, Loma Chondang, Rimbati, Yamlen Chitang, the Digic Rimbakatone, Yuba some the world, this one.
这种九八七也能相当能着啊，是吧？今年给相当这能着，也能九八七着，是吧？
Yuba Chicks net, Hana Konzo, Yuba Chick to Chagre,
Right.
Ineta, Lamala, Giru, Gang, Lomala, Shiri, the most, yes, Shanam, the Rebellion, Yuba soon Tangaja or something.
Low. Branching, the branches are three. They are of a shared lineage, but in the extending of the lineage through instruction from disciple to student, there are differences. These differences are cause for counting three branches of what is like a shared lineage, but in the way that the disciple confers the teachings upon in the way that the instructor confers the teachings upon the disciple, differences in these cause for three branches.
Oh, yeah, that Tambo the Kadam Lamrim Basing, that Uma Lamrichimu Mazegona, that Namadu Yamechia Carriersna, Derims, Temberbas, Jawadirwa, Tabuba, Derims Yorwa, Derim Tang, Anil, that Lambrins of the Zul Lamjim, but the Zo Shila Shane, Lomala, Lamberg, Lamjim, but then not so in Yamsalangi Waza, or Lamrim Bas, meaning that.
Now, before the composition of the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, in the tradition of Dakoba and the stages of reliance upon the teachings, and in the text that is the lamp on the path to enlightenment, these texts were taken as basis for practices that are the practices of the path Kadampa.
Oh, yeah, that any march in the Lama Lamrim, but Jubachiki Karcheresna. And Chanju Lambi Rimbati, and it's some day get up, some che. Jawa Chambo Chimoko with the Sadenga. And it Dodigi, love you, Junju, Sunda Dus Jardi. And it usually Malamji, but love you in the Kola Gotham Shumba was being that as one. What did they mean? Yes, get up, some Sadenga. Dodigi, love you. Love you, the New York, Kubulu love you down. She will love you, and Junju. Oh, Shun True the journey. To see Jaggy Windsor, Colocadam Shumbawas, meaning that as
The scripturalist Kadampa took 6 canonical texts as their basis: the Udana Varga, the 5 collection of texts of Maitreya, the Sutra Alamkara, the Sutra Samuchaya of Nagarjuna and Shantideva, and the Bodhicharya Avatara. 6 texts, basis of the scripturalist Kadampa.
Oh, yeah, that Nima Kadam Jubachi Kazaki, Podo, Menga Jubas, and the Lame Menga, Lama Korag, Yamne, Karichi, with deep Michel Puzet. And Manga loves it. Menga so Chin Yamslangi Yuiza, Kolakata Menga was meant that.
The interpreter corrects if Jataka tales wasn't included. This is the interpreter's oversight. Jataka tales as well. And in the oralist Kadampa, beginning with Potoa, it is the lineage of the oral instruction, the basis of practice being oral instructions there.
Oh, yeah, that Lama to get Hangashi,
Now I'm going to count them, and if you'd like to mark these.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Control.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll take a drink of water. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah. 다 담보디 봐서 담보 가담 람림바 된다. 가담 람림바 생기라. 내 좋은 저 반대 고바 왔어. 그니까 람림바
몰랐어.
모두 내 좋은 저 반대 고바 왔어 이제.
Last.
Yes. 고바 왔어. 아니 내수 봐. 상모 댄지 되베 내수가 되게 되는 건데 타마 왔어. 아마 숨지.
Here they are. Then first the scriptural kadampa, beginning with komboa, followed by nesurpa and takmapa, holder of the entire Vinaya basket. These are the first three.
어이 다른 이바텔라. 좀 벌혼len 제바 나가 되와. 남 좀 벌혼len 나게 남생세 나가 남생세 남배지로 나가 제보 지된 취재 보면서 자세 상부샤로 소들 아마 숨도
No, number gilbo.
나게 제보세.
Then
생기 상부.
low. Followed by namka senge, namka gelpo, senge sangbo. There are three.
그렇죠. 아니 자주도 그러고 사회 이제 나가 진짜 샬로 소하데 나가 진짜 아마 뒤에 지금 평가지 나가 진짜 아마 지금 하자. 그분도 지금 하벨라 이들도 나가 진짜 샬로 담마가 지금 하자.
Tiangyor di gu, right? Gu chose.
구말 뒤에 지금 담마 시들 아마 지금 나가 진짜
Janjuk took in Jun.
보시세요. 하벨라 미직 메라 거기 시간 아마 지금 나가 진짜.
Let's Namka. Followed by Namka Gyaltsin, a 4-verse stanza, all describing one guru here, Namka Gyaltsen.
Oh, yeah, that lama doing chaso, lamri be give lama doing do.
There then are the seven Lamrimba, bro. Lamrimba, the seventh path, the seven gurus of the path Kadampa.
Oh,
Path Kadampa.
Oh, this judging juju lama the water. The rimbasum se paring dus. Yellow, good sobachi, kill sobachi, talati, kidil, that lamrimba go.
In the three branches, the Lamrimba and the Mengapala Sapatiki Killa and the Lamrimba, right?
Dus dead. Kadam shumbawa, tell lamrimba, mengaba.
The path Kadampa are in the center of these three. On the left are the scripturalist Kadampa, the center, the path Kadampa, to the right, the oralist Kadampa.
Dine kadam the lamrimba tsawaseta, kadam lamrimba tsazane, kadam direta. Nibadela kadam shumbawa imbeda. Kadam shumbawa ina, you put al mengaba, kadam mengaba. Mengaba the Awadela gay Jewishin to Potoase, Sharawase, until you come Chegawa or Sumche.
This is followed by the oralist Kadampa, beginning with Podowa, followed by Sharawa, and finally the third Chekawa.
Sumganata, Lundonga, Chazan Chibuase. Timeon so. Timelungo on you, Kebecho, Kechoche. And the comes on river conversion, which needed Chimbusnos water, Lama Sumche.
Followed by these three, Chilbuba, Lungi Wangshuk, and Nroe Kombo.
Or the Komusumche. I'm a true chaswa.
Here, six, right?
Tadi golo the order of the Lamasum, Namda sitting at the Sanjeba, to open other song, Chunga Jazum, the Montraba, to a Tambasmus water, Lamasumche.
Followed by three gurus, Sang Chimba, Sunawa, Mundraba. These are three.
And they would Lamachir, the Sabi Jong, get it on Children, Pandel Lamesha, Swat, Lamachir, Chilesambos. You got Chile Cartida, Sabi Jong, Aneba, getting to Chilesambot, Tabajan, Pandela Mesha, Swat.
Then is actually Chilla, Nanibi. There, Garden Chile. That Chungun gets a Tarsan Mundrapa, Joe Jimba, Sumla, so on the
Disum Taswa, La. That in a subject Jajichela, Aneba, La. Getting to Hoguni Jebs to Chilesambot, Tabajan, sick.
I let Chinese on board and read Chin.
Oh, the Lamachik, Chendom Chur.
No. And followed by Chinle Zambo. The list now coming to 10.
Oh, yeah, that the Kadam Navase. I didn't Kadam Alade Kadam the Shumba, and the Shumba.
This is actually not the oralist, but the scripturalist Kadampa here, these 10.
Okay. That in a Kadam Mengabadi to be on Jusimbo, Tujimba, 6. And she needs to get the Shunu, Niche. Tijolam the Jizaki, Gobo Jevisibus, no so adepts. Mengabat Lamasumse.
Here, the first three of the oralist Kadampa, Tsuchimbar, Shunu, and Gergomvawa. These are three.
Oh, that they got a minju did the Sanje Unche. Tambechilo Nanga Jebota, Jidinchibos and Jazz and which was number 2.
And three more, Sange, Namga Gelbo, and Senge Zambo. Now there are 6 here in the oralist Kadampa.
That didn't call it Nanga Chanju to have you Naga Jezation of Swatters, Lamachir.
And Gesi Zambora.
Oh, Jezambo.
Oh, Gesi Zambo.
Nagaji.
And then a further 4-line stanza dedicated to Namka Gelsen.
Oh, yeah, Lama Duinche.
There are 7 there in the oralist Kadampa.
Oh, yeah, that I think on the Lama Lamrimba to the Lama Duin from Chicoiva. The name Shumba de la Lama Chuche. 지도 소바 직체.
음.
다 되게 용어들라 맹아바가 라마 뒤 오 가담베 라마 되게 아니 다잉어도 야채를 남지를 라주디다 사물 남지 라주니가라 차단 파주 고고래 손시.
Parasuko 그래. Ale lamrim balla gatse yani lama gatse yuri.
람리바 라마 뒤체.
La dun laze. Dene di
슈바월라 라마 주체.
no
아니 맹아바 라마 뒤도와.
no
이 총부세 다도 얘기 다징어도 예mon절라 다징 얘기 듣고 요와 자진 주주 라마 줍시 요와
je
줍시 요에다가 와들라 되게 숨
ales
소바 숨고.
je. Then there are 7 gurus of the path Kadampa, 10 gurus of the scripturalist Kadampa, and to the left then 7 gurus of the oralist Kadampa. As I have described, in the merit field to the right are the gurus of the lineage of extensive deeds. Beneath this lineage, these 3 groups that are 3 collections of the Kadampa. These are beneath the lineage of extensive deeds.
오예 다디나시 자진 주주로 거가 나신지 유용원 저거 사모타 주디 와라양 아니 간다베 라마티게 라자 고 양조권 고 그래서
And as to the left in the merit field is the lineage of profound view, beneath the lineage of profound view 2, these 3 collections of the Kadampa.
오예 다디니가로 고고에 균세디 가르스나 군이니가 냠네디 아니 자진 주주도 사모타 주지가 냠도주 제니 냠네 지기요 천대를 해서
And the reason they appear beneath both the lineage of extensive deeds and the lineage of profound view is that theirs is the integration of the practices of both.
오예 다디니마 가담 사와 글라마 가담 사르마 다디바도 가담 닝마 세들 다디네 가담 사마 글라마 수티 오드마 고 그래서
This has been the description of the old Kadampa, followed by the Neo Kadampa, the new Kadampa, that are arranged in the field as well.
오예 세다다 가담 바티게 라마 되게 고두 잠바 라마야스 고는 세트업 아니 랑게 선대 체산 뒤지 배장시도 아니 자진 주주기 답하게 람지 림바테다 계획이 계획다 아무도 주지 람지 리다테다 계획 계획도 바라봐 장찬에 아니 랑이 줄라스 예 라마 주베니가 유베게 람게 똑바테다 랑이 줄라 계속 선배 미과 체도 저거를 해서
The Ningbadi, the Kadampa Ningbaro. In the collection of the gurus of the old Kadampa, beneath the lineage of extensive deeds and the lineage of profound view, the arrangement of these collections in the merit field is performed, followed by the petitioning of them. After the petition, light and nectar descends from the gurus in these collections. With the descent of light and nectar, all that prevents realization from arising in the mind, that which prevents the realization of the stages of the path of extensive deeds, that which prevents the realization of the path of profound view, these hindrances are eliminated. With their elimination, then all of the realizations in the minds of the gurus of these lineages arises in one's own mind.
오 되게 세다다 뭐마이나 람림 치두 잠바다 람림 치두 람림 선대때 아니 둥글 미과체 아니 뒤지 배장체 람림 간다 가디 치기 요바 이나양 아니 람림 셰바디 주주 튕디지만 제말 다 망체 조조드 아니 뒤지 배장 미과체네 냠네 뭐마데 람림 치두 된데 치기 어려서
In the past, during instruction in the stages of the path, the instruction would proceed first with a petitioning of the merit field. As the petitioning is performed, then 2 students would meditate, meditating upon the descent and purification by light and nectar. Whenever instruction was given in the stages of the path, most of the instruction was in the recitation of the petition, the meditation, and the visualization of the descent and purification by light and nectar. And the remaining amount of time would be less dedicated to actual exposition or explanation, the majority of time having to do with the recitation of the 6 preliminaries and the visualization of the descent and purification by light and nectar.
Hoya kunga nanga be shede ya kadam gi yuba sum shede kana kadam menga bala cha sha ba ina kadam menga ba singe de ani to rangi lama ge yang gom lome gom nyam do gom ani gom de ani te lame ge tang go to bo ma lamring lam ge rimba ge ba sha gom che ge she ge loma lo gom chu ani loma lo gom ta do loma ge to bo ju le ani shine ta chu dan jo di je ma de she go to mi da che ba che ani 다시 그 로메 줄라다 디파게 질라도 포네 또 바케도나 아니 시네 마디 서브젝트 마 볼람지르 바제마 진도 시기 요래서.
In the tradition of the old Kadamba, of the 3 collections of these old Kadamba, particularly in the tradition of the oralist Kadamba, instruction in the path would proceed with the instructor reviewing their realization and causing the disciple, requiring the disciple to then meditate upon the realization that the instructor reviewed with the disciple. The disciple would meditate and develop any realization that they might. And in the next session, the Guru, the instructor, would examine the disciple to find which realizations they had, which would allow for further progress in instruction in the path.
호야 람리게 또바 정에서 방법 버디 신이들도 또바디 장 신이들도 또바 줄래 계속은 아니 신에 강바다 마선 고쳐봐 차 아니 신에 가르고 당보대 된조 되제니가 내지는 고주네 봐전 드린 된조 되제니가 아니 드네 마지 레준데 드네 마지 아니 대시다 된데 나베도 봐전 간제 람이 좀 받게 도스로 장네 로고요 그래서
Where the blessings had penetrated the mind of the disciple, the examination would find that there was reason to proceed in instruction. Instruction began with instruction in proper Guru devotion, that is, to open the door to practice. Then this would be followed by instruction in the precious human rebirth with its leisures and endowments. So in the beginning, in the first day, instruction would be in that proper Guru reliance, followed by the human rebirth with its leisures and endowments, followed by karmic causality, followed by the 4 truths of the noble ones, followed then by pratityat samutpada, dependent origination, and so on, the traditional course of instruction.
and today you are Marcesanta, Nimajigla Sana Nimajigla, Dawajigla, Kazu Tazas in the share of Osmos.
So the instruction followed by an examination to see where there had been realization in the disciple or not, and then methodical progression. But we don't have the leisure time to proceed in this way. We cover a week's material and move on with the next week, a month's material, move on with the next month. We don't examine to see whether there has arisen any realization. The instruction in the stages in the path, as we are proceeding, is more resembles ordinary instruction in which one teaches, a student listens, and there's no real examination to find whether there has been any realization developed. But in actuality, instruction in the stages of the path is different entirely from the ordinary sense of teaching and learning. For the first instruction is the first exposure for the disciple to study and then to meditate upon. And then when that meditation gives rise to realization, the next step is taken. The reason proper guru reliance is the first topic of instruction, and the reason why realization of proper guru reliance is necessary is that without realization of proper guru reliance, all the topics that follow from it cannot be realized. But when proper guru reliance is realized, then all the subsequent realizations may emerge swiftly.
Oh yes, today you do Lamrim cats that do them. On the Zachin Butzia, Lamegi, it's Chilipzia, Lamrim cutting on the Lotas, Zachishu Chagios. Lamrim cats get down on the Zachishu Chagua, in the Carisna, Maranzo, Jema Mombalo, Sankiagi, Sankin is good to be good to be Lungo the true good to be that Jewish unanimity, Lameg cut Chagi or response.
So the word of the Guru is most blessed, most sacred of all. It is the source of blessing. The reason why the Vachana of the Guru, the word of the Guru, is most sacred, is most blessed, is that with the realization of Buddhahood, with the achievement of Buddhahood, the Buddha Kaya, the Buddha Body of the Sambhoga Kaya and Nirmana Kaya have for their primary cause the very word of the Guru.
Oh yes, it's not that the I'm looking this down what is Lamrim Nata Luni Buddhi, more Tamedeba. Lamrim Nata Sunja, more Tamedeba, the Hayakula, Jaman Tangi, Hayakula Sharion, the Lungu to the Kusini, and that Tandang around to it. Lameg did to be a Jew Soti, Tandang around to Nishi Big Lameg, got the Chagi or response.
Was the Lamegi Songak the Lama down, Songak Nika and
Lung the Kaiba,
La.
Lung the Jama Sugutu Jew so Iba.
Oh,
Also, same day, Sugutu Jew. Lungdi, Sugutu Juku Iba. Oh, Chesata, Lameg Sunda Nata, when you go Chigua, Lungda, Nani with the Chigua, Cheta Lungda Nani with the Jamas, Lungu number Shani, Jama Lungule, Curio Nig, Lung Tamotra. Oh, Tendeg Lung, Lameg got the Chadio, got the Chesa Mama on the Sugutu Jig. The Jugu Pacha, Yelejo, or the Chagi or Reso.
No. So how are we to reflect upon this? The very word of the Buddha, as subtle wind itself, is the substantial cause for the arising of the complete enjoyment body, the Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. In the listening to the word of the Guru, the word, the voice, speech of the Guru is one with the wind energy. There is the wind energy and the subtle mind. The subtle mind is of the Dharmakaya. The subtle wind gives rise to the complete enjoyment body, the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya. So therefore, the very spoken word of the Guru is the substantial cause for the arising of the Rupakaya of their two forms, the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya.
Hoya chesa thana do lamegi kar rupati lamegi kar lamanye bachene lame kar rupati ta lungu da tugu tuje bhaja shagi yor chesa ma do mo bala ta lungu da tugu sindu semje gi thune chega chidola sugu namba tengo ti sugu de tugu tubya gi jugu chodi ane lame kar rupas chesa lame kar rupati nyamle gi zo chagi yor eso.
Therefore, following the word of the Guru, achieving the word of the Guru, provides the dormant function that with the realization of Buddhahood creates for the very cause for serving the welfare of others, sentient beings, through the presentation of the Rupakaya with its two forms of Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. The Rupakaya of Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya is that which serves the welfare of others, and its causes are collected in dormancies through the performance consistent with the word of the Guru.
아니 뒤지 배변 체계 미과디 살았다디네 마 가담 사마 데다 또 단다 람르 고랑기 람르 뉴람 시루 체바이나 가담 람 사와가 라마 조데다 제롬 지세 디니마 라마 단다디 제단나로 여바나 히체나 라마 주구다 니슈요레소.
Up to this point, our topic has been the old Kadamba. We counted them and described the visualization of a descent and purification by light and nectar. Now we follow this with the Neo Kadamba, drawing the presentation from the swift path. Principal here are Chetsongkapa and sons. In the Neo Kadamba lineage are Chetsongkapa and sons and 19 gurus or 20 gurus.
Oh yeah, tanto desha ania kanama maseva yena desia matsobache chotine chejana ni des kaser dosam ro yening kadam sarma ge thangatidan des chereche an jamanga jo jorju ge chikes ma pejana ma tram an jorju chik de an jorju be jami wache kamachi ni edo komtuna yago yorsam thingi dos dringa gar sagi jama dringa jo di peje di 그렇지 맞잖아니 칸에 맞으나 아니 이 되면 도와서랑 아주 제마들 조조가 하다 계산된 얘기 찍거나 또 발로지 아니 되냐도 때스든 아니 주지 배우자 미고 잖아 야고 요즘 되게도 인디 지기 예소
Now we will conclude here and we can proceed with Q&A and the debate. That's my hope that we do that. So next week we will resume the Neokadampa count and and also if we were to recite the 6 preliminary practices in traditional style of instruction in the path, I think that would be useful. So next time and from here on out, we will do that. We will recite the verses and meditate for a minute or two on the descent and purification by light and nectar. We don't yet have the verses for recitation photocopied and matched with our text, but we'll photocopy them, and then we will study in this way, reciting these verses, visualizing the descent of light and nectar in the study of the stages.
표현이 되긴 뭐는 뒤지 배우자는 표현이 뭐는 시에서 힘드나 시대 표현 첨부를 냠내 질럽 첨부를 일단 지도나 냠내 지도나 아니 수수기 알지 시에라 팽그레 아니 세디기 냠내 시에라 팽그레 아니 저 치쇼는 치마 벤제라 다 펜베치도 냠내 레송로.
As I've said, the benefits of this practice of visualization of light and nectar, their descent, is very constructive, very beneficial. This is a very blessed sort of practice. And if we were able to do that, it would be very constructive for us, constructive in eliminating obstacles to our practice, constructive in ensuring success in our practice in this life, but most of all, constructive for lives to come and success there.
아니 수준 이제 딜라야 아오 연구말에 개그말에 삼배 도바사야 네드도야 이마치니라 개야 여바티야 두지 배장이 냠네 돌려 요거래서
Alla di selvro gros, din yamensini. Di dokko di selvro gros.
미지직나라 수수게 제투사 말에 삼바 어다딩에 전사 말에 삼바 디게 투고 말에 삼바게 되게 냠네 두조 양 아니 님디 두지 배장이 냠네 제와이네 이마치 다와치 되려나 개야게
Now, if we practice this this way, the doubts that we have that I couldn't possibly do these practices or succeed in this life through the practice of the descent and purification by light and nectar, those very practices that one doubts one's ability to perform and succeed in, one surely will be able to succeed in a day's time, in a month's time, by the force and power of the practice of the visualization of descent of light and nectar. Now, if you have any doubts, let's hear them. I have one. What's your concern? In the Heart Sutra, the Buddha goes into samadhi, and by the force of the samadhi, the Avalokiteshvara, or rather Shariputra addresses Avalokiteshvara, asks about details of the path, and Avalokiteshvara responds, and then the Buddha is said to arise from samadhi. And my question is whether the exchange between Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra by the force of the Buddha's samadhi is for the Buddha the period of meditative equipoise, and then whether at the end of the exchange, when the Buddha is said to arise from samadhi, this is considered the moment of subsequent aftermath. The dirwa ani sherap nimbogi ani drawing ani nanda tambala the ani sange ge nyamsha yeshi gi wangi ani shari bugi yar ani chenrezi la ani country dendri shugi yorwa dene ani the tiwa tilin travel nangirwa dene tingen zen dele shingte sere yorwa the tingen zen dele shingte labna 디 아니 제톱기 예시기 천든 르베 라고 르베
말이만.
디 아니 캅델라니 셰럽 님부기 캅델라야 아니 냠샤 예시단 제톱 니가 등기 두개 등기 여러베
산jel라 제도베시도 냠샤 이미며
니메와
냠샤는 그 제도비어 말이다. 산지가 동영모수도 마토가 갑이어 말와. 매상 제도비어 말이다. 즉시. 단이버들라 땡이들의 상대수도 뒤도 좀 되게 하스나 좀 되게 친질란 이제 좀 되게 T2 say도 T2 say도 아니 좀 되게 땡이 친질라면서 아니 셔리폴다 수와타야다 제레스 레자에 니가로 아니 좀 되게 오늘 지나 좀 되게 난 구여와 이나야 좀 되게 많아와세 아니 고라니는 저한테 나가로와 제다디 난 거야디 아니 좀 되게 땡이 친질라면 난 그거 레스직세 단 이버들라 아니 디 고라니 좀 되게 친질라 거야디 아니 뒤도 뭐 뒤제 레 마타니 저 제수 송에 치. 알아? 다 뒤제 동반이기 도 모두 줄 사여들라. 디 믹스에 저 요마다 동반이기 도 통화 서로 통화 진이 여러와. 제수 제수 송에 치들라. 아니 좀 되게 어때 땡이지 진질라면 디 저 틀린데 총화를 해서.
For the Buddha, there are no two distinct periods of meditative equipoise and subsequent aftermath. There is, for the reason there is no moment of the Buddhas that is not direct perception of emptiness. So there is no two-period division for the Buddha into meditative equipoise and subsequent aftermath. Then with the line from the Prajna Paramita Hridaya, then the Buddha arose from that equipoise. This is the verse, the line that describes at the end of the Buddha's having blessed the dialogue between Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha caused the exchange through their blessing. The Buddha's blessing caused the exchange. The Buddha would have provided this instruction, but doesn't here. There is a dialogue between Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra, and it occurs by the force of the blessing of the samadhi of the Buddha. Now, why is there a need for a blessing for the dialogue between Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara? The blessing and then the dialogue is for the purpose of causing realization in those disciples who have yet to thoroughly pacify karmas. It is not for the purpose of those who have already had direct insight into emptiness. It is not a dialogue for them specifically. It is for drawing along, gathering along those disciples who have yet to have insight into emptiness.
Yeah,
Are there any other?
Oh,
The Charlie has his sword raised like Manjushri.
Who is the legend who then recorded this experience?
아니 니긴 암초 터데긴 디게 다기 터바 늦직나 세르여로 아니 다 수레 니긴 수레
이게 다 지난 뒤수된 거 실험이 못해 뒤수된 거 주치기가 해서 아니 다게 세대마다 디나라 파여를 미여를 하마이 요래 아니 저니 파지 티 장가나 거라 티 망을 얘기 요래서
죄송한데 아니 두디 아니 디가 다게 되지나 디 아니 두땡 요로
제가 무슨 야 뒤수된 못해 제가 해서 아니 이게 다게 더버 되지 나서면다 이니 디나 다다 새로니 뭐 이니 디나다 코르망 보시라요. 어떻게 생각 다하게 생각 되어 그래서
Thus did I hear at one time, introduces the moment of the Prajnaparamita Hridaya, the Heart Sutra. It is the introduction of that moment. And as for the auditors, those listening, there are thousands of them. Those who heard are thousands. The retinue was vast.
약간 이 뒤는 레이어 말해서
But you and I, however, weren't included.
단대신의 얘기요래서
아?
그러니 뭐 단대신의 얘기요래로
We are only hearing it now for the first time.
아니지 말해 야 뭐 제기 있어
Thank you so much, Krishna. This is wonderful and profound teaching that you've given us. Just one quick question, and it pertains to our practice, or to my practice in particular. There are so many gurus to visualize in the merit field and to ask for the blessing of light and nectar. Would it work if, for example, for me, I at this time I cannot remember them all. So would it work for me if I remember one in each of the groups and think of that enlightened being as the representative of all the gurus that belong to that particular group. So and then if that's the case, I still have, this is my second question, is that I still have the feeling that visualize my guru is the embodiment of all the gurus of all the lineages. So if I should do that, would it work also, or I should do it as the first part that I mentioned, that remember whoever one guru or enlightened being that I'm most connected to for each of the lineage guru groups beside my root guru, or just my root guru is the embodiment of all the gurus of all the lineages.
아니 남가다 거봐 되네 세다봐 속신 아니 거츠 라서봐 거츠 될라야 아니 라마 장매버 여러와 대만보 여래 다 직전에 해 고알른당 가능식을 라나 아니 라마 댕아 레제게 낭네 아니 레제게 쿠삽 책 거체 아니 쿠삽 대기 아니 균에 아니 규바 Shripoki any yunten mar any bepar muna bandere ra the any chick any guba regi sap chick guna this any lola shong lawarwa any dewe kyang lola shong lawa kariore 소소기 사we lama 아니 깜네 군두게 모or mö츠 여러와 디앙 체초그레베 제장에 티와 가르레라나 데 아니 거기에 라마 때마모 요버체 되게 나네 아니 규바 레레기 쿠삽 아니 책 코샤나 간르레 양메나 되게 잡체네 아니 스스기 자웰라마 아니 규바 차상기 라마기 아니 쿠사체네 아니 캡네 군두기 뭘 메나 되게레베
이장 상당하신 제는 되게 요레스 직세 나 이내 단단하도 대시 잡대야지 그런게 람루 찍서와 저는 람루 그런게 냠내지 그런 삼루 당주 찍진 시기 여러와 그래서 대시도 좀 맞다 람루 소신 찍 자단 찍 세다고 요레스 아니 암 수수 땡이 된다 미과 제법 tempo 유나 아니 소신 장매 봐 공고레스 아주 땡이 된게 미과라 타요 말레스 제가 타 매번 이제 간다 단단 아주 고민해야 되기도 보라 가서 땡이 제 자야 치도라 아니 미과 쳐야 돼 시기 요레스
아니 심디 타메바 아니 인상 아니 데 장가메바 된데 아니 메바 깡그라
이 알고는 말 이러면
얘는 죽어 되는 기식이 되는 수
아무래도 땡이 된게 제 자야 미과 쳐야 치도라 아니 단단 아주 미과 재단 시에게 소신직 차단 세답에 시에게 여러 직제 상황까지 봤어요. 나 뒤에 아주 단단 미과 망보 쳐야다 유체 대마대 계제도와 네 수수가 땡이지 숙체를 땡이지 세마세 이제 개발 거는 거 그랬어. 땡이지 가져 세우도 우도네 고미과 자치를 땅으로 와 땡이지 세우면은 그 수수 미과 찍어도 라마 찍어도 막 없나요? 그 되게 여
If you were to do just as you described, that would be okay. Now, our purposes here and the explanations that I have been giving is to present the treatise on the stages of the paths, traditional arrangement of the full merit field. So that merit field in its entirety, according to this particular tradition, especially for the person with aptitude in their samadhi, they would visualize that entire merit field and then an infinite number of that very merit field, multiples of it. And the extensiveness of the visualization of the merit field is available for the person in their exercising of their samadhi, where one has an aptitude in samadhi and some clarity in their visualization. One may enlarge the number of members of the merit field or numbers of merit field as exercise in the development of their samadhi, where samadhi is less exercise, has less clarity, then it is fair to visualize the single root guru if necessary. Sokshin de ani so tsawe lama la mar dugres tene chamna ani tene
소신 수 유세디 라마 코나레 라벨란사 듀라 파 듀드 소신 같이 못 줘야 소신 망고 줘야 강가 라메 두건 받죠.
Now, as I said, that your manner of practice as you described it is sufficient because all merit fields are condensed in the root guru, and then with the emanation, the replication of merit fields, they are all replicated out of the heart of the root guru. So they are all condensed in the root guru, and they all emerge from the root guru.
예, 한달 나도 뭐 자외 라마 임바 남바 산제의 자주 셈바 어디 냠내디 디나는 키고 해서.
In short, the essence is everywhere of the root guru, but the appearance in its variety is of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Later, when we describe self-visualization and deity practice, there'll be more.
나왔어요. 야다 뭐 가지면 나올도 봐.
다
Thank you, Geshe. You described the consciousness of the oralist tradition of the Okadamba. And what you described basically, or outline three, the path, the scriptural, and the oralist, and describe kind of the oralist teaching style. I can kind of envision what the path teaching style is because that's the Lamrim tradition. But the classical tradition or the scriptural tradition, what would that be like? And then also, what types of minds of the students would respond well to each one of these types of teaching styles?
그래서 네 기시게 아니 그래서 가담바 님바기 정부 문다와 숨 되는 잡어 숨버와 다니 명아바 람렘바 슝바와 다디 아니 람렘바당 아니 람렘바당 람렘바당 아니 명아바 되게 아니 최 체년 체당데 뜻고 차송 얘네야 아니 슝보와 슝바와 되게 아니 최 체년 체당 아니 간데시레 좋아 아니 두자기 감당 몇바 간데시기 제 아니 슝보와라 로라 밥용
그럼 슈바는 뜻소 슝소 슝기 셰바 또 제네로와 슝기 공부 또 제네 유저는 얘네 제 제기로와 배낭아도 맹아바스도 다징아도 라메기 맹아 라마 코랑기 냠네 가르치에 똑바디 아니 밀부터 시작하고 똑바 제지 냠네 제적으로와 얘네 슝바세디 슝소 배낭아도 산다진에 슝배제 투 장도 하다가도 지중아도 람림기 콩타사기 배제 보라 뒤로와 그래서 되게 람 슝 되게 공부하리 이나 티시송 샤네 아니 유저를 대시켜 냠네 지주고 이번에서 콜라 슝바스 민다래 송스
드네네 얘기 슈요기 티원 컷 네버디양 신소아
니버다 하고다
the scripturalist or classical Kadamba school presents its topics and explanations with consistency or conformity with the scriptures, particularly 6 canonical texts, whereas the oralist Kadamba will proceed in instruction based upon the guru's practice and experiences of realization, which are the basis for their explanations to their students, which then cause the students their meditation and realization. The scripturalist or classical Kadamba takes those 6 canonical texts as basis and presents material from these, taking these as the basis.
오예 나한테 감담만 받았는데 되게다 그런 게 어디 단계도 왔어 감담만 받아서 사이에 그 온부 두바를 최대시 그 온부 넣어를 최대시 되게 되는 개발팀이 송한테 되게 내주게 말했어 가서 뒤져 수수도 온부를 링 타sun 그 왕기 아니 산지에 숨고 최대 수수로 온부도 팀백이 최 거두고요 레식송
알아. 알아, 라세. 어리.
되는 것도 두다마 시여와
라.
두다마 시기 숨대되게 저 랑주바 저 두다를 송여 말와
저.
저 송도 삼아 되게 저 송와를 때 이내 수수기 최대 고알린도 삼아 아니 두다 시디 저 제기 삼배 온 중어를 모두 산지가 두다 시 믹스게 송여 말와
저. Then your second question about the temperaments that are receptive to which of the particular collection of the Kadampa tradition. To address this, it should be said that the Buddha didn't deliberately indicate a student of sharper faculties, middling faculties, lesser faculties, and then teach in such a way that it would conform with that, but did teach, and then the temperament of the student would determine how they received the lesson of the Buddha Dharma. For instance, in the four philosophical tenet systems, the tenet system wasn't explicitly laid out by the Buddha, but receptivity shaped four ostensible tenet systems.
좀 내들 최 유튜브 야 최송고 주어보고 차네 아니 개발 열었어 배낭 가서 콜로 당보 콜로 림바 숨거려 열어 콜로 당보 콜로 니바 콜로 숨바스 콜로 당보 가들라 또 뒤제리 또 가르쳐 열었으나 또 디바 멤버체 그냥 아니 그게 최 송해야 돼 덴바시 송 제가 그때 송도 잡았다 또 디바 멤버게 뒤제 체도 송회 체도 송회 최직 도스티 시계고요 레제 나디네 콜로 바르바 송도 또 디바 첨보 아니 뒤서 제수 송회 체도라 아니 연출을 봐도 스코어가 직체 아니 콜로 타마가둘라 다네 디시자나 좀 망보여 이내다 콜로 타마라 레퍼드 넘버 2 콜로스라고 나 저기 콜로 당보를 세교디 된다 된다지 콜로 니벌을 세고 된다 된다지 개벌 친 제바데 저거 숨바스 윤티시 되자고 그래서
지선이 드제기 감나 먹으면 라we 근데
고야 감는 멤버에서 고르고 와 근데 좀 내가 송도에서 뭐 체도 송고야 괜찮 콜로 당보 송고야 괜찮지 또 대과 멤버 제수 송아치 송아레스 콜로 바르바 송아지 대과 치모 제수 송아치 송아레스 콜로 타마디 콜로 당보 가도라 송아야 괜찮지 콜로 타마 바르바 가도 송아야 괜찮지 바세와 체디 시바라스 어디서 콜로 숨 뜻이 용난 되래서
in the Dharma of the Buddha, reception and interpretation of it is various. And the Buddha presented in the Dharma in the three turnings of the wheel. In that first turning of the wheel, that turning of the wheel drew in the Shravaka Yana, that foundation vehicle through presentation of the four truths of the Noble One. Then this was followed by the second turning of the wheel that drew along the Mahayana and was for the purpose of drawing in the Mahayana. And then the third turning of the wheel, about which there is much discussion, it is the turning of the wheel of it is the turning of the wheel of carefully differentiated phenomena, in which the presentation and meaning of the first turning of the wheel and the presentation and meaning of the second turning of the wheel are carefully distinguished one from the other. This is the third turning of the wheel.
이제 되게 고르고 근데 꾸는 유는 꼴 삼도 땅에 송아 말 최지당다 순거에 준세들이 있네 이제 수수도 고르도 아니 수수도 감는 말로 때는 최근에 고고이 와디 어디 드시게요 그래서
No, it isn't then, though, that the Buddha intended this is for this particular individual, this is for that particular individual. in the reception, the disciple receives and interprets differently. And in the diversity and interpretation, this diversity.
아니야, 되는 거 같다. 이 메시지도 하러 숨쉬. 저 지기는 딱 되는 거 같아.
So the time's almost up, and if there's one more question, we can take one more question, then we'll close.
야, 맞아. 조절해서.
Okay.
Speaking of study, contemplation, meditation, in English, contemplation, meditation suggest very similar activity, mental activities. So I wonder if Gishlo would speak a little bit about the distinction in this consideration, the distinction between contemplation and meditation. How are they different? How do they compare?
Then it was some that you're any indicatone, any some series the com series the Jamorabra, Jamorabra, that then the Nigi Kebar, Kanishir.
Oh, yeah, Joe. The best. I was down. So this
is a good question, thank you.
최선 삼바 세종 아주 된다. 삼바 생애대 지당 아주 놀래잖아. 똑바도 삼바 샤라오사. 공바스도 무슨 잘 주세. 대체. 당아도 삼바 세대 빼도 자리나. 퇴배 된다디. 제마 주가 냐빙이 첨바 성조로. 어디를 삼바 샤라. 다 첨바 되게 심베 된디. 랑 셈 줄로 저 자는 셈다 권이 저 자는 냠도 and combas. What to Jaros?
Contemplation is the realization of a meaning. And meditation is the direct experience. In study, one is exposed to a meaning. The meaning or the idea is consolidated so that it may be recalled. When it is, and this consolidation that can be recalled, realized, is the contemplation. And when it is applied to the mind in that application, that is the meditation.
고 통고 퇴중다 로드체 다퇴 차네 다 삼로 땅도 잠바 균센을 땡고도나 균센을 땡이 된데 통고도나 삼중체 균센을 마템바 된 카도 미기 베잘라 통하지 카도 통도도나 아니 뉘앙스 무슨 색이래서
Now, to describe it directly as it is presented in texts, the study is the hearing, the listening to the Dharma. Just as we listen to something, we see something. So the study is what comes from hearing. And then once one has heard, once one has studied, then in the thinking, when one applies some reasoning to a conclusion, this is contemplation. And then when no reasoning or rationale is required, and there is a direct experience of the meaning, this then is the meditation.
That's so
the difference between that which comes from meditation and that which comes from contemplation was or was not clarified?
Say again?
Did this clarify a difference between that which comes from contemplation and that which comes from meditation? No, no.
Oh, yes. Then it is some
Good.
그 집에 잠그 냐면 셰베 겨들라 때네 아니는 그런 세대기 등에 시와 대화 토바 하도 치만에 치마치는 배 장주고 셈 율라께는 산지지 고마 토베 제도 이 삼을 말람 제편어서 손
And now with the virtue accrued from consideration of the practices of descent and purification of light and nectar, by the force of this virtue, may we in our present life bring an end to all pain and suffering and achieve contentment. And ultimately, by the force of this virtue, may we develop the mind of awakening and achieve the state of Buddhahood. Direct your closing prayers in such a way.
베네린도 벨레 소니제 가더 양바 가시 사바 로메 마레 기동 로와예 단데 자베 보다 주지 데마 숨베 세로 군두에 잠베 양기 세베 제송 렘베 렘바 군상 랑기 조 니네 루베 게만 예시쇼 랑기 제제 도베 람기 네 쇼자 세웨 자베 타기 거에 이게 문바 세제네 겨에 템바 유데 생유르치 템바 렌진 조게 마자바 샤냥 냐버레 주베 초데네 닝제 쳔베 이라죠 벤데 데데 세월 제버르 쇼 제제 겨에 메존 첼레레 레루 장주 랑게 렘베캬 다르드 남게 예바 베데 제웨 제바 링드 효주르치 랑산 주베 등겐 주제제 게게 세제 미담 림네 제라 군둥 겨웨 마바이 남다 람다 제와 마기르치 강세 디와 졸라 주주제 수진 프로바 tumba 데이세 토덴 단계 다들 조지지 라지 겨소 주군 겨비르지.
From my two collections, vast the space that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of the paths of the complete teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I offer this treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their son. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent path never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path raised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the Mighty One, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. Jinye sabe kewa di tendang rowa kuna wang tendang kebara jizun losan chaba yi tembe nimbo rindu seje sho kari rawe korwe jingang dir pendang dewa malu chungwe ne jere siwan tinzi yaso yi shabe side barate dengir jik Jambe babu jidar kimba
군드 정보 대양 대신대 대다 군계 제소 다로지 개와 대다 단제라도 손셰베 개와 단제기 모와 강라 초도 마바데 다기 개외 사와 대군경 정보 제지라도 모와르지 장조 선조 렘보제 마게 바나 계기를 책 예바냐 바메바야 고네 고스 배워레쇼 I dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of Indian beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra do, realize things as they are, may I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious thus gone 1 to 3 times, so that I might perform the noble bodhisattva's deeds. May the supreme jewel of Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Thank you. And if you were to learn a practice from this lesson, it would be the very practice of the descent and purification by light and nectar. So next week, when you arrive with a body that is luminous and limpid. Don't bring anything that is contaminated. Outside that will be outside we have